everyone. Welcome to Weathersfield Proctor Library Storytime. I'm Glenna Coleman, Youth Services Librarian, and this is our Library Bear Bear. You know, we record these after everybody's gone from the library, and today, after everybody was gone, we were hearing some strange noises in the library, weren't we? We kind of wondered if we had locked somebody in with us, but it turned out it was just the sound of branches against the windows. Well, I think we were thinking about scary noises because it's getting along to that time of year, isn't it? And today we have two ghostly stories from you. Now don't worry, they're not actually really scary ghostly stories, but we think they're kind of fun. Our first ghostly story is called The Ghost's Dinner, and this story is by Jacques Duquennoy. You see there's a castle, of course ghosts live in a castle, and a host here opening the door and all of the ghost's guests coming. The Ghost's Dinner by Jacques Duquennoy. Henry has invited his friends to a dinner party. When Henry's guests arrive, he is still cooking in the kitchen. The suit of armor there, a nice touch. Would you like some juice before dinner? He asks his friends. Yes, they all answer at the same time. Uh-oh, says Henry. The tray is stuck. There, that's the way to do it. These juices are so colorful, Jack says. Yes, says Henry. I have passion fruit, sour cherry, very berry lemonade, and spinach juice. Well, I know which one I would not ask for. Here, try the spinach juice. It's not bad. In fact, it's delicious. Huh. I did not expect him to change color like that, but I suppose it makes sense. Look at us. We're so colorful. Now I can serve dinner, Henry tells his guests. First we'll have pumpkin soup, but be careful, Henry warns. The soup is very hot. Henry's guests love the soup. Some have seconds. I wonder if you can tell which of the ghosts have seconds on the soup. I imagine they're the ones that are the darker orange color. Then they eat salmon. And salad. And cheese. I love how the shapes are changing too. I have a very special dessert, Henry tells his friends. I'll bring it in. Oh my goodness, he's even shaped like a wedge of cheese, isn't he? Here it is. I hope you like it. This looks good, but what is it? Asks Jack. It's my secret ghost dessert recipe, says Henry. It's magic. Aha! I guess so. Amazing! I can't see you anymore. Where did everybody go? I'm clearing the table. Okay, let's take the dirty dishes into the kitchen. Be careful, says Henry. Don't trip. Now let's wash the dishes and dry them. I think it's time for hot chocolate, says Henry. This is delicious. But now look at us. What shall we do? I know, says Henry. Let's drink some milk. And they do. But where's Henry? Boo! The perfect end to the ghost's dinner. Guess he's hiding in that suit of armor. Well, I hope you enjoyed The Ghost's Dinner by Jacques Duquennoy. This is one of my favorite ghost books. I do like a good non-scary ghost story. Well, here's another ghost story. This is called The Ghost on the Hearth. And this is retold by Susan Milord with paintings by Lydia Dabcovich. And this is a book published by the Vermont Folklife Center. They have some great stories if you're ever interested. The Ghost on the Hearth. So retold means that it's a story that was told to this person, and it was kind of rewritten. All right, I'm going to just shift the camera a little bit here so I can see. In a small town in rural Quebec, there once lived a poor man and his wife and their 9 children. The eldest was a girl named Emily. In those days, children from poor families were often sent to live with farm families that were a little better off. This took some of the burden off a family where there were a lot of children, besides giving farmers more hands to lighten their work. Emily was such a girl. In the summer of her 12th year, she left home to live on a farm just outside of town. In exchange for room and board, she helped the farmer's wife cook, clean, and sew. Each morning when she rose, she started a fire in the big wood stove in the kitchen. Before she went to sleep each evening, she scraped the wax drippings from the great stone hearth. Emily was a pleasant girl with a generous heart and a ready smile. The farmer and his wife grew to love her, much as they did their own children. When the girl fell ill one winter, they sent for the doctor and took turns keeping watch at her bedside. When she grew worse, they sent for the girl's parents and brothers and sisters. "I'm afraid there's nothing more we can do for your Emily," the doctor told them. "She's in God's hands now." The 2 families gathered by Emily's side, their heads bowed in prayer. As the evening sun sank behind the hills, the frail girl drew her last breath and died. Not long after, another young girl came to live and work at the farm. Like Emily before her, Jenny's duties included cooking, cleaning, and scraping the hardened wax from the hearthstone each evening. One morning, the farmer's wife was surprised to see there was wax on the hearthstone. She went into the garden where she found Jenny picking vegetables for the midday meal. "It's important that you scrape the wax from the hearthstone each night," she said to the girl. Jenny looked puzzled. "I did clean it, ma'am," she said. "Perhaps you'd better come and see," the farmer's wife replied. Jenny's face reddened when she saw the hardened wax on the great stone slab. "I know you don't believe me," she said, "but I did clean the hearth before I went to bed last night. I remember it very well. The clock chimed 8 just as I was finishing up." "I want to believe you, Jenny, I really do. But why is there wax on the hearth now if you removed it last night?" asked the farmer's wife. "I don't know," replied Jenny. The farmer's wife told her husband about Jenny and the wax. That evening he watched as the girl cleaned the fresh drippings. Satisfied that it had been done, he told his wife to put the incident behind her. The next morning, however, they discovered several small, fresh patches of melted wax on the hearth. "But I saw Jenny clean the stone last night with my own eyes," insisted the farmer. "Then how do you explain the wax?" his wife asked. "I cannot," the farmer replied. "Someone's bent on making mischief," the farmer declared. "But who can it be? I guess there's nothing to do but keep watch." That night, he made himself comfortable in the rocking chair in the parlor, but the steady tick-tock of the grandfather clock made his eyeballs droop, and before long, he was fast asleep. He woke early that morning only to find fresh wax on the hearth. "I'll stay up and watch tonight," the farmer's wife offered. "Maybe I'll have better luck." When the others had gone to bed, she gathered up her knitting and sat by the fire. "Knit one, purl one, knit one, purl one," she repeated aloud to herself. "Slip one, knit two together," she chanted. Her needles clacked as she worked her way from one end of a sleeve to the other, but even her steady chatter could not keep her awake, and before long the farmer's wife fell fast asleep. Suddenly, the farmer's wife woke with a start. The hair on the back of her neck bristled. She had the uncomfortable feeling that she wasn't alone in the room. As her eyes adjusted to the dark, the woman could just make out the ghostly figure of a girl, illuminated by the faint glow of candlelight. "Emily, is that you?" the farmer's wife gasped. The ghostly girl turned toward the farmer's wife, her head bowed. "It is," she said. "I beg of you, please do not be angry with me." "Angry?" asked the farmer's wife. "Whatever for?" "For returning to your house as a ghost," Emily replied, "and for burning these candles." The farmer's wife smiled. "So it was you," she said. "But why, Emily? Why have you been burning candles?" Emily lowered her eyes. "As punishment," she said simply. "I don't understand," the farmer's wife replied. "Punishment for what?" "When I worked for you," Emily began, "I took the stubs of the candles each night to give to my own family. It was wrong. I know it was, but we never had enough candles in my family's house." The girl paused. "When I died, I was condemned to burn as many candles as I took home." "Oh, Emily," the farmer's wife said gently, "had I known that your family needed candles, I would have been happy to give them some. You mustn't be punished for trying to help your family. All is forgiven. Go in peace, dear child. Go in peace." After that, the farmer and his wife never had another encounter with Emily's ghost. Nor did they ever find candle wax on the hearth again. Well, I hope you enjoyed The Ghost on the Hearth, retold by Susan Milord. It wasn't very scary, was it? Well, like I said, Library Bear and I like scary stories that really aren't so scary. Until next time, this is Glenna Coleman, Youth Services Librarian at the Weathersfield Proctor Library.